Good afternoon, leaders of Mount Zion Fellowship Church. We should be congratulating ourselves today, April 14, 2018, being the first day in our life to resuscitate our Ministerial Bible Institute. We thank God that we have a general overseer that has a vision to prepare leaders to take control of what God has blessed us with in Mount Zion Fellowship Church and to impact that knowledge to the outside world. The paper we are starting today is a basic training for any leader, irrespective of your religious affiliation, whether you are a Christian, you are a non-Christian, whether you are a believer or you are not a believer. But it's just all the basic truths that you need to be a successful CEO, to be a successful leader, to face any challenges in the corporate world. Because as Christians, we must not restrict ourselves or limit ourselves only to doctrines within the four walls of the church. We must be able to function as we are functioning within the four walls of the church, also outside the four walls of the church, where we are going to meet non-Christians who are also better equipped than us. And so that I want you to have an open mind. Then as soon as we are able to grasp these basic principles, then we can now move on to the Christian side of it. So today we're going to start as introduction to basic leadership skills. You see, what does it really mean? You see, the role of leadership skill and supervision in any business is gaining increasing recognition. Just as society looks for a leader to define its purpose and lead it forward, business is concerned with the selection and development of people who can successfully invent, make, sell, and provide services to set their enterprise apart from its competition and solve the many perplexing problems that confront them. Management techniques of the last several decades, which are management by objectives, diversification, zero-based budgeting, value chain analysis, decentralization, centralization, quality cycles, restructuring, management by working around, and etc., have not had the significant long-lasting effect that some of the tried and true but often forgotten strategies of supervision can offer. So one fundamental change in the strategies of managing in today's environment is the concept of coaching rather than managing. Many businesses and organizations have rightly redesigned their workflow around processes. These processes enable the creation of process teams, in other words, a person or a group responsible for an entire business process. Team supervision, commonly referred to as coaching, demand more education than training. The difference is execution. Training generally implies learning the skills necessary to perform a particular function. Training someone in the art of collective or collections become very focused on that function alone. However, education expands the scope of the collection function to understand the role of each cash flow to the business and duties of the organization, the impact of generation of interest and positive commitment to the organization goal or sales and marketing, and the relationship of collection to the credit extension philosophy. So training teaches skills, but education teaches the job. So there are several strategies found successful in the art of successful leadership and supervision. One of them is self-esteem. So what do we really understand by self-esteem? When you make someone feel important, you gain their willingness to work for you. And here are some techniques to improve self-esteem. 1. Ask their advice. Even though you may feel you have the answers to a problem, ask for their help. This makes the employee feel that you think their opinion is worth considering. 2. Discuss subjects but do not argue about them. Arguing infers that you think the other person is wrong. therefore bringing the person down and hurting their self-esteem. I've had that kind of experience before. And a lot of leaders, they do that because they know that you know better than them. And so in order to hide their lack of knowledge or ignorance, rather than thanking God for having somebody like you in their team, in their life, they put you down. So the next thing is you just shut your mouth. And then the third one is sincerely compliment them occasionally. You can surely find something to praise someone about. A lot of people, they feel that if I praise my team, or if I praise a junior, he will think that he's important. He will start feeling important in himself. So the best thing is I'll just continue to make him feel that you are not doing enough. They are not doing enough, so that I can get the best of him. But that is a very, very wrong approach, because it is not a slave-master relationship at all. Those people under you, working under you, can also become a CEO tomorrow. So you have to compliment their effort. Then the fourth one is be more willing to listen than to talk. Pay close attention and show interest in what they are saying. By listening, you gain a lot. But by talking, you gag them, and then you will be unable to get the benefit of wisdom from them, because they will just shut up and look at you and continue to look at you. And if the business go haywire or go wrong, you have to get the blame, because they have nothing to blame themselves for. So you have to learn how to be a good listener. The number 5, be interested in the person. Keep people well informed on all matters that may concern them. Once you have a team, you have to be able to have effective dissemination of information. You don't have to hide anything from them. So that any matter concerning the organization, the function, the problems and everything, you have to let them know. So that all of you can be on the same page. Then number 6, show respect for a person's knowledge by repeating a remark of theirs that will reflect favorably on them. Show respect for a person's knowledge. And what does that mean? It means that maybe about somebody said something about 6 weeks ago, and we are not discussing a subject now, and all of a sudden you just remember that, wait a minute, so as mentioned this before, you just bring it as a reminder that this reminds us of what so said about 6 weeks ago. That person will feel impressed that this man is listening to us. He takes everything that we are saying seriously. So you encourage them, you give them confidence. And then last one is remember the name of the person you are dealing with and use it often in your conversation. Remember, the most important thing to a person is their name. I cannot be working under you for 4 years and you still don't know my name. You don't know my name of my son or the name of my wife. And we have a lot of head of church like that. You have been in the same compound for almost 4 years. One day see you, you say, by the way, what is your name? Then you start wondering, because you say every day you see this guy, good morning sir, good morning sir, yes my son, yes my dear. And then one day just call you, by the way, what is your name? You say, what is my name after 4 years? You feel discouraged. So you have to be able to relate yourself with the people, because you're not above them. God puts you there to be their servant, and that is what is going to bring us to servant leadership when we come to it. So how do you become a good listener? Generally, people do not know how to be good listeners. People usually only remember about half of the information they are told. Below are some points on becoming a good listener. How do you become a good listener? One of them, be ready to listen. Stay alert in your posture and in your facial expression. Be ready to listen. Stay alert in your posture and in your facial expression. When this often happens when a pastor is delivering his message, or when you attend a seminar. When the air condition is so cold, the tendency is to relax. The moment you relax, your spirit, starts relaxing, then your brain starts relaxing, and you start feeling dozy and all this thing. So to avert that, you have to sit in a rightful position, a rightful posture, and then concentrate your mind into what that guy or whatever the sermon is coming. There's some sermon you learn, and that's why some pastors, they throw gags, they throw stories They mix stories with their messages instead of going straight into the message. Because when the message is too technical or too scriptural, they fall asleep. So that's right, and that is what we are saying, that you have to remain focused and don't pay attention to anybody. Then try to avoid distraction. Number 2, try to avoid distraction. There's no way you can control any congregation in the church or seminar without people listening to phone, or people answering their call, or people taking the time to check their messages. But if you go there and you concentrate on the people that are busy doing other things, you will miss out. So that you go there, you focus on your own. You focus on your own alone and stop being distracted by their own activities. And that is the only way. And then the third one, eliminate bias in your thoughts about a person. Otherwise, you will never comprehend what they are saying. I've seen that one before too. And that's why sometimes when you are curious to know, because in my former church before I came to America, we have almost about 6 pastors or 6 reverend, and there are some reverend or ministers that I don't even want to hear their messages at all. So the moment they said Deaconess so is the one preaching today, I don't bother coming to church. Or even if I come to church, I come to church just to pay my money, tithes and everything. And as soon as someone is about to begin, I find something else to do because I'm not interested. But we should be able to avoid that. It is natural. It is very, very, because the moment you have a biased mind against that person because of her way of life, or because of her style of life, or because of what you know about her, about him, or anything, the message that is going to deliver to you will not make any sense. It will not even attract you at all, even though the message may be inspired by God. So that is what we are saying now. And then also, number 4, word of boredom. Try to stay ahead of the speaker by anticipating what she may say next. Word of boredom. So how do you word of boredom? There are so many ways to word of boredom. When that person is talking, there's no one that's going to tell you something that is unheard of before. So you'll be able to anticipate what that guy is going to say next. What she's going to say next. So in other words, you are following her line of argument, you are following his line of thoughts, and you are also anticipating what he's going to say next. And by that, you are more or less actively following that message. And that is what you can do to be a good listener to word of boredom. And then we now move on to try to group thoughts or points to make it easier to remember. If you blow warm, God will spew you out. It's simple as that. I mean, Jesus Christ said that the straight is that even it's difficult to go through the straight path, and only a few will pass through that straight. If you don't inculcate in the minds of your leaders now that sense of responsibility, they will fall. They are protected within the 4 walls of the church, but when they go out, they will be left the one thing. So that is what we are saying. So the pastor is nice, he's a good shepherd and everything, he wants everybody to progress, but at the same time, he wants to mold people that he could trust. This is a teamwork. We are not fighting against flesh. We are fighting against spirit and even forces in high places. So we have the common enemy. It's not the church. It's not about you. It's about God. It's about Christ. It's about your service to Christ. Because one thing is the sacrifice that the pastor is making himself. You cannot even make half of it. If that pastor is a human being like you, if he does not have any rest in his own house, for 6 days is here, 6 days every year, and if anybody is sick, they call him. And now you just holding 1/10 or 1/28 of the duties in the church. You say, yeah. I mean, let's
I concur with you, Pastor.
It's reality now.
I do understand. Yeah,
Good.
especially but yeah, I do understand. I do.
So let's move on. Now, the next one is how can you avoid boredom, like Sister Annie said now. That that sometimes when some people are, I've seen it on many occasions too, how to avoid boredom. When the preacher is preaching and you think it's making a good message, and then you see some people say, oh, as a people are even snoring. And I see so many head of states too in United Nations when they are making, they put on the ears and they are sleeping. So how do you avoid boredom? How do you avoid boredom?
You're mentally participating in what's going on.
You try to involve every.
No, it's not you, the leader. You are the leader. You are the one talking. You cannot be bored.
This has to be individual.
Mentally
Individual.
I know. Let me. Yeah, but I.
Ask questions.
Yeah, but
that is not you, the guest speaker, but the listeners. How could the listeners avoid getting bored?
What the listener can do, it all depends on coach, the presenter, the teacher,
No,
the
Pastor James.
facilitator.
Pastor James.
Because it's making a point.
Now, I have different techniques that I use in doing anything to get my people involved. And of course, you will sense the boredomness of your audience, sometimes based on your presentation or the techniques to facilitate. So one of the things we do in Mount Zion, we have two kinds of reading, if we want to use it in that text.
Yeah, that was suggests when you send your own leaders out to a seminar, and you want them to bring a report back, right?
Yeah.
And 80% of them, they get there half asleep or in a trance.
Well, we hope they don't.
How do you
That's
prepare
a good
them?
point, Pastor. How that's. I leave that to that. That kinds of better.
So that
Doctor has a better
the answer is just to try as much as possible to stay ahead of the lecturer.
Yeah.
Try to guess what he's going to say next. Engage. And then you get interested in what he says. If you don't get interested in what he's saying, you get bored easily.
But how you do that in the church? We in the church. How do you do
How
that?
do you do it? It's
In your members in the church.
Your members in the church also, and that is by this kind of training for them. It's by this kind of training for them. By this kind of training for them, you get them involved. And if you notice that your members in the church are complacent, let me use that language. They are still babies, all right? So like you rightly said, you get them engaged. And that is by provoking them, by throwing some questions to them, and by making them to contribute to what you are saying. But that is outside when you are preaching. When you are preaching, you cannot engage anybody. You preach what God wants you to preach. But when you are now addressing them as a group, at Sunday school or anything, and then like you said, you engage them. And so everybody will be thinking that maybe he's going to ask me next. Maybe he's going to ask. So everybody will remain focused because they don't know who is going to be the next that you are going to ask to do something. Okay? So then the next thing is try to group thoughts or points to make it easier to remember. So another thing is when you go on the seminar like that, and or even when you come to church like this, and the preacher preaches, how do you remember when you get home what the preacher talks about? Like Pastor Mana preached the first Sunday or the second Sunday I got to this church. I recorded it in my phone, but I forgot to save it. So I didn't save it. So I said, oh my God, I couldn't. So there, just all I remember what he said was, I just made a point, transformation or metamorphosis. So when I remember metamorphosis, I was able to sort of expand on metamorphosis, and then I got this message straight away. You know, so that's one thing. And then even Pastor Nfeni preached, the next thing I remember when I got to was, are you a traveler or just a tourist? You're a tourist. As soon as I remember that one, then it was like a film. Everything started rolling back again. I remember everything. Who do you serve? Who do you serve? Then I remember Joshua. You know what Joshua said. So that one thing is when you go there, when someone is being on, try the keywords. We call it keywords. So once you have the keywords, what they are saying, you get the whole thing. You get it. Like the last Sunday I preached, Pastor Mana summarized the quote. He said everything culminates on Jesus Christ. So the keyword was the magnanimity of Jesus Christ. So that get the keyword in what and before you can get the keyword, you have to listen, because if you don't listen, you cannot get it. So you have to listen, and because you want to get the keyword, then you listen. So that this one is not for you as a guest speaker, but for people that are listening, for the people that you are going to send out to seminar to bring report back home. So that this is how you prepare them to be able to get a good report back home. And then the last one is that for it to say, look for the keywords, what the person is saying. It makes recalling the conversation easier. So we finish with be a good listener. We're going to go straight away to planning. Planning is one of the key management tools. Certainly, all of our companies and organizations have short and long-range planning. What is planning? I was asked to deliver a message on some time ago on how to establish a successful business, and then I said that definition of planning. I said planning is like when you step inside an automobile and you switch on the ignition, and then the car starts going, but there's no steering wheel. So and we call it in science scalar motion. So which means the destination is where God determines. So if you don't have any plan in your business, if there's no business plan, you are just driving a car without a steering wheel, and you are just going in any direction where only God will predict your destination. So that we don't have any business with a scalar motion is deemed to fail. And how do you do? This is through planning. We decide a course of action to achieve goals and accomplish objectives. Through planning, we decide a course of action to achieve what? To achieve goals and to accomplish objectives. Planning prepares us for how to perform in the event of certain things happening. When we are planning, what we do? What do we ask for? What do we want to know? Why are we planning? We want to set up the institute. What do we want to achieve? Goals. What are the goals? What are the objectives? To train leaders, to produce first-class leaders. And then planning prepares us for how to perform in the event of certain things happen. So that planning now was the one that gave us the opportunity to be here, to perform, to do what we are doing. That's number one. And then number two, planning requires two things. Because when the leader say, okay, we're going to set up the evangelical ministry or this ministry, what do we really need? We need facts, and we need data. So planning requires getting facts and data. The more information you can gather together, the better equipped you will be to make a decision. So that you want to plant a church. You want to plant a church, you have to get facts. You cannot just say, I want to start a church, and then you start pumping money on it. And that's why Jesus Christ said, anybody that is going to build, anybody that is going to go to war, must have to know, must have to sit down and find out how much it's going to cost him, isn't it? So which means, and those are the data and those are the facts that you have to get. I want to plant a church. You have to think about location. You have to think about your target audience. You have to think about the cost. You have to think about whether I want to build it or to rent it. You have to think about, so that all the facts you get, and then the data you have to be able to compare. You get the data from all the established churches, those have tried, how far they've gone. You get your data before you start, I want to start. So that planning requires getting what? Facts and data. And then the more information you can gather together, the better equipped you will be to make a decision. And then number 3, policies and procedures are either originated or examined and brought up to date when planned. Policies and procedures are either originated or examined or brought up to date when planned. Now, we've already established our policy and our procedure. Now, how do we get a policy? By sitting down, all of us say, okay, we want to set up a business. What kind of business? A nursery school. And then we now start, everybody suggesting their own policy. You have to have policy and procedure, which we can either examine because they are already existing, we examine them, or originated, that is, all of us, we form it together, and then we brought it up to date when we are planning. And then number 4, objectives are also reviewed. When a planning procedure is implemented, objectives are also reviewed. So which means that there's nothing like a static objective. It will be reviewed every year. We sit down, we assess how far we've gone, what have we achieved. Do we need to do more? Do we want to expand? So that these are the points that we have to see that, to assess them, to make sure that we update them, we bring them, up to date before planning. And then planning helps to unify an organization by getting others involved. Planning helps to unify an organization. There's nothing like a tree to make a forest. A tree does not make a forest. So that which means when planning, you subscribe the opinions and ideas of everybody around you, and then you bring everything together. You harmonize them, and then you have a solid plan. so that everybody will get involved, and then it brings it forges a kind of unity in the organization. And then number 6, change is accepted more easily. Change is accepted more easily when the plans are known throughout the organization. When you make your plan known, it will be easy for everybody to chip in their own ideas how we can improve. Because you may be thinking that this method is good for me, which brings us back to tradition, that I've been doing this thing, this is the way my father did it, this is the way my grandfather did it, but they are all dead, it's obsolete. So things are changing. But because you don't go out, you don't mix. But people that now are sociable, they mix a lot. They have seminar, they see change, they say, things have changed, though. This is the way we do it now, this is the way it's done, now this is the way we can achieve maximum result. Then we say, okay, then we change it. So that in that number 6, change is accepted more easily when the plans are known throughout the organization. And then number 7, planning brings attention. Yes?
You sure number 6 is correct, the change accepted easily when a plan is known? Because if I have my plan and I met with my leaders in the church, or I met with my leaders in my organization, and I talk to them, the leaders will know. Or do you think the change would be accepted by everyone, even if they know, everyone knows what my plan is. My plan is to take the church forward. What's my goal? My goal is the end result, so we're a crown. So that's what we're working with. Do you think if I have a change, I change the administration of the place. I bring new people in. Do you think the church would accept it? And so I would like a little bit to question this number 6.
Now, what I mean by
Is
change
accepted
is
easily.
change for improvement, change for how you can accomplish your goal easier, cheaper.
So
It's not going to alter your course of action. All right? It's not going to alter your course of action, but it is going to, the change is how to enhance it, how to get it easily done. That's all it means.
So when you look at the process, or the
Yeah.
processes change, the mechanics of the change, because I can attest to her, if one is to affect the change, and the plan the planning must be in line with the execution, which is the change. And the execution of the process or methodology that one will need to go through.
Yeah.
I may not like so do we first buy the plan to make the change work?
We will buy the plan. If you don't buy the plan, you'll not be in a position to know. You not really get involved passionately. When you get involved, then you start thinking, how can we do it better than what my boss has said? You know, it's because he or she is not always right.
Absolutely not.
So that you might have a better idea, and that's part of the quality of a good leader, to be able to accept changes that are going to enhance, that are going to make something better for the organization, because the focus is on the organization, not on you. You know, so that suggestion can come from anybody. You know, so that, but when it comes and the whole quorum, the majority buys the idea, then you succumb. You cannot say no. When you have about 20 people and 18 people say this is the best way we are going to do it, and then you say no, my method is the best. And what do you think?
So do you think change would be accepted easily when the plans are known, or change will be accepted easily when the goal is known?
They are the same thing. The
goal
goal and the plan.
Can I give an example
Yes,
of what
ma'am.
happened in my job recently? With the changes in Medicaid, Medicare, and the government.
Yeah.
You would know, Sister Annie, we're doing comprehensive assessment, and payment is based on that assessment that you do. For all of the disciplines, do this 15-page on one particular resident.
Yes.
Now, what the government has done says, the state of Maryland, I have $10 million for you, for all the nursing homes.
Yes.
Now, when you assess your residents, depending on how you assess, you get a money from this pool. So if my facility A takes $1 million from the 10 million, the 50 other nursing homes, you are left with 9 million.
Yes.
So now what is happening, we do a quarterly this week. Somebody gets UTI next week. We're doing another quarterly to capture money. We were grumbling until they pulled all of us together, explain the reason, make us understand why the change. Now it's easy. When I see it, when we all see it, we don't complain anymore that the work has tripled. Because now we have understanding that this is what brings resources to get us paid.
Exactly.
So usually, when people understand the goal, the plan, and to achieve the goal, acceptance is easier.
Yes. Yeah. Because for nurses, for me, nursing, when I teach my nursing students, the biggest thing is, and that's everywhere, you would attest to that, you have to, for the nursing, you have to have an assessment, a plan to get to the goal. So the plan and the goals, they're not the same. I plan it to get to my goal. And then the goal is to get to that 1 million. But we have to plan it. We plan it in a way so that if somebody says they have a headache, and the headache does not bring money, we don't dwell on the headache. We have to say the reason why the headache is there, so at least we can get to that 1 million. Isn't that so, Mama?
Yes,
So
now you're tweaking your plan
Exactly.
to achieve your goal.
Yeah. So that's why I said change is accepted easily when you know the plan, but
What?
change is accepted easily when you know the goal. Because if I know I need 1 million in my hospital, I would accept the change because I know no matter what the change says, I have to work with that because the end result is that.
That's fine.
But I want
That's
that
fine.
1
Yeah,
million.
correct. Yeah.
But if I know that the 1 million the change doesn't bring 1 million, the change just gives me hard work, I would do the paperwork, but I'm not going to be happy because I don't know why I'm doing it. I have to know the goal to why I'm doing it.
That's
At
right.
least this is not the church. This is out. You have to know why we're doing it. So the goal is the thing. It's not how we do it. It's the goal of why am I doing it?
So having said that, if I just start chipping, do you come now to the conclusion that question number 6, do you accept question number 6 based on all what you've said?
No.
No? Because I think what you're saying,
What
you're saying is the same thing that question 6 says, according to my understanding.
When you know the change,
Say-
change accepted when the plan is known throughout the organization.
Yeah, and that's what question 6 is saying.
That's what,
So
That's what
let me
question
just
6
let me
says,
just take,
right?
let me just take a stab at it again.
Yeah.
It's saying change is accepted more easily when the plans are known throughout the organization. So now the plan and the goal, I mean, can be used interchangeably. And this is, if you just bear with me, this is what happens. Elder Madonna explained it eloquently.
Yes.
Because you have a situation wherein, again, and it's going on in all organizations right now
Yes.
because of the medical situation. I'll just give a quick example. The reimbursement rate has gone down for most companies. When you see patients, you treat patients, doctors, or pharmacies, nursing homes, reimbursement rate has gone down. Okay, so the goal there is the companies, they know that their reimbursement rate is down, but they want to keep. The goal is they want to keep providing the service that they are providing to their patients at the same level. The patient should not notice any change. So the goal is to maintain that level of service. Now, how do you get to that level of service when the money that comes in has now changed? You have to change your plan. So the goal, everyone knows the goal. The goal is we keep the service as it is, or we improve the service. But how do we get there when we don't have the resources that we used to get to reach that goal? So
That's
now,
the goal.
so
That's
now,
your goal for what you just told me.
if you don't
So
keep
now-
your plan, you will not achieve.
so now you come to your plan. The plan now is, how do I reorganize to get back to that goal of providing the care that we need to provide? So that's where you need to, that's where the question comes in. Change is accepted more easily when the plans are known throughout the organization. So now I go back to my employees. I say, listen, you need to be calling patients every day, because if I just tell them you need to call patients every day, this is the list, and I leave it like that, no one is going to do it because they don't know why you want them to be calling patients. I want you to be calling patients because the reimbursement rate now is dependent on how the adherence, or how patients adhere to their medications. We're making sure that they fill their prescriptions on time every day. So we have to call them to make sure that, hey, Sister Emmeline, your prescription is due for refill. So do you want us to refill it? You said, yes, we refill it for you. You come pick it up. We'll make sure we call you again to come pick it up, because they're monitoring those standards. So now the employee knows why they need to be calling the patients. So the plan now is to make sure that the patients pick their medication. You call, they pick their medication, and then they refill it. They refill and pick it up.
Well, but I still come back to maybe because in my nursing, when I teach, the students better don't get the word plan and goal together, because they're two different things, or else you fail your NCLEX. That's what I can tell you.
They're semantics.
No, wait. No, let me tell you. Because if you say the plan to call, that's a plan. The reimbursement is a goal. So you're not going to say, I'm going to use reimbursement to plan. I'm not going to use reimbursement by calling. I'm going to call to get the goal. So you're going to plan to, yes, that's a...
But if they
a-
don't, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question though? If they don't understand the plan, how can they achieve the goal?
You cannot achieve the goal.
You cannot achieve...
Without
that's why I
planning, you're not
said-
going to get to the goal.
Exactly. Without
So the most, so what I'm saying here is what this lesson is saying, that change is accepted when the plans are known.
Unknown, yeah.
If
When
I don't
the
know the
goals
place,
are known.
look, I can know the
I
goal.
think
The goal for Mount Zion, listen, the goal for Mount Zion is
Is
for
to get
us
to
to build
the-
the cathedral.
Yes, that's
for
the goal.
us to build schools and what.
Yes.
But if we don't know how we're planning to get
To
there,
get there,
how we
it's
gonna
never
do
gonna
it?
happen.
Say something.
It's not gonna
Just like when my sister stood one Women's Sunday after church, and she says, "Guys, you know, we need to get this money, the carolots, all the money we're doing." And I'm saying to myself, "Why are we doing this? You know, too much money." But when she said to the group, you know, that money would take us to the next church, then I accepted her plan. I did not accept that internally until she told me what the goal was.
But no, she talked about the goal.
No.
The goal is to
But
get
you
to,
made a judgment before she finished.
yeah, to get to Citadel. Okay, is it so?
Let me interject here.
Okay.
Now, since we're on the fundamentals of the Christian education, how does this goal plan construct the church? For me, I like to deal with the practical issues. This Christian
Give us something you want us to.
No, I'm looking to the professor. Because I don't want all of us to miss it, because this is a Christian. You can use the text both in the circular and in Christian.
Give us an issue in the church you want us to plan a goal for.
No, what I'm saying.
Say
I want to get back.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay.
I want to get back to the professor to see how you can compare, construct, and to get us to Christendom here.
Christendom.
How we do this thing in the church. Because if we look at all the paralysis here from the corporate world, we're dealing with the corporate world when we're there. 99% of what we're learning and we're continuing to learn is for the church. How we build that good Christian leader. If the Christian leader can withstand within the church, he or she, I can assure you, can stand on the outside. For me, that's how I look at the text. And so when we look at change, how do you get into the process, planning change goal in Christendom? How is that comparison with Christ being the church and in a practical sense, Mount Zion, as we're moving forward? I like to see those kind of discussion in our
Well, the typical example is.
Are you with me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Thank you.
It's one of Nehemiah. The Nehemiah, they brought a report to him that the wall of Jerusalem had been left desolate, that everything crumbled. He didn't cry sentimentally, but he made the best use of his own position with his relationship with the king. And they went to the king. The king said, "You are not happy. Why?" And then he narrated what has happened. And he said, "What can I do for you?" He said, "Give me a letter. Give me opportunity to go and rebuild the wall of Jerusalem." And then he said, "Okay." I said, "I will give you." And then he sat down to plan. What will I need? I need a letter. I need a letter to authorize me to go through the provinces before I get there.
If I can get to the, all right?
And I need a letter also for them to give me all the materials that I will need on my way.
That's the plan.
All right? I did not even, then he now formed a group. He looked for people that are capable leaders that you could trust, you know, to go with him.
So was the wall and the temple the
So when he
same?
got there now, he left them, he didn't even, at night he went there himself to go and survey the whole
why his
place to form his own strategy.
That's the plan.
All right? And he knows definitely that any good thing that you want to do, there must be oppositions. There must be vision killers in the church. And those vision killers, in case of Nehemiah, were the neighbors, were the people that had been mocking them for the past decades when the place was left desolate. Right? And then there also there will be distractors too that if he tries, you know, to frustrate his effort, and then he strategizes. So how can I now build my church? How can I move from this place to another place and overcome these vision killers in the church? All right. So he said, okay, sword in one hand, shovel in and throw in the other hand. All right. So that they were building the wall of Jerusalem, and at the same time, they were ready to go to war. So that what we are now saying is that the leader of the church must be able to discern who are the best team that it will rely upon
to affect the change, to affect the process,
to affect the change, to move forward, to move forward. So that he will not sell his own vision to them. It's not until they buy into his vision before they can follow him.
Right. You see, that's what I'm getting.
So
at.
because they said that's what I'm saying. They said that the best that you cannot follow a dreamer of a leader who changes his opinions and loyalties as the mood takes him or her. She can lead others into distraction in pursuit of his own fantasies.
And Pastor, you know you're very right, because I want us to always look at the text in I don't want to. A biblical perspective, because the paralysis is based on, this is the purposes of the Bible Institute. If we get the foundation in the church, then we can become effective ministers, members in the church, to help change this thing. Now, when we get to, you talk about Nehemiah, a fine example, because most Christian leaders would like to go to there, Nehemiah, because for the people that were asking, was the temple different than the wall? When you look at Nehemiah, most people look at the wall, isn't it? But they also forget the temple. But Nehemiah was not to build a temple. Nehemiah was what? To rebuild the wall. Absolutely. So we make a difference here. How Mount Zion now is called, looking at our goal, and that's a fine discussion, because you could quantify both a process change and the plan change, or the interface, or the plan you want.
Because that's the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
Because first and foremost, there has to be a goal.
Absolutely.
And then there's a plan.
To execute the goal.
To execute the goal. But also, to get to the goal, there's a strategy.
A plan.
Because just like, Pastor Lambo was saying, the goal was to rebuild the wall. That the goal is there.
The goal is there.
Okay. Now, how do we get to that? We can see where we're going. Now, how do we move from A to B?
That's the plan.
Let's get a plan. Are we going to drive there? Are we going to ride a bicycle? That's all planning. But then there was an obstacle.
That's right.
And then there has to be a strategy of how to overcome. And it's not different from the business world in a way, because that's where all the other matrices in business world comes into play. All right.
So where do you put the matrix?
The matrix, let's in the church. It applies to the church. Because in the business world, we have what they call, going back to like the TOES matrix. Okay, you got your SWOT analysis. Okay, you got your strength, you got your weakness, your opportunities, and you've got your threats. So now, when you are planning something and there is a threat, a good business leader is going to sit back and say, what opportunities do I have to overcome my threats so that I can move forward? And that's exactly what Nehemiah did. All right, Nehemiah looked at the threats. There was an opportunity. He used the opportunity to overcome the threats. You have seen a weakness. What strength do I have to overcome the weakness? So every time there is a challenge, you go back to the SWOT analysis, you put your toes in metrics, and how you overcome something. It's the same principle, okay, but if you actually analyze it, that's exactly what Nehemiah did. That's when Nehemiah was one of the greatest leaders. Okay.
And so in using that illustration, we shall finish that, because I want you to tie it into.
I just wanted to sort of what both of you are saying, just to,
because it's important.
And I don't think we're saying, we're basically saying the same thing, but I don't know what where Sister Annie is, what is trying to express, but the goal is there. We want to get, for example, we want to build our cathedral. That is our goal, but we have to have a plan to get to that goal, and that's what Pastor just explained.
And when those challenges come, we have to know how to deal with those challenges.
The plan is for us all to understand what we need to do to get to that goal.
I think that's where I want us to always come back to the end result.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is the
that
goal.
if to be an effective Christian leader,
that's the same point you're making. The goal is the end result.
must
The
be
goal
able,
is the end
must
result.
be able to,
But we have to
to
plan
move
to get there.
in a way
You must
that
understand
okay,
every
finish.
step of the way to get to the goal.
No, but
Because
what-
the
you-
goal,
no,
the
you
goal
don't-
is there,
You don't
right?
understand. What I'm
Every
saying is, what I'm
Let
saying
me
is,
understand what you're saying.
it's the reward of this thing I'm getting. I'm not talking about whether it's right or not. For me, personally, what Pastor just said and what everyone is saying, the goal is there. But the plan is not the goal. The plan is to get to the
plan
goal.
is
No one is saying.
oh, of course.
The plan cannot be the
No,
goal.
no one is saying the plan is the goal.
But that's what I was trying to clarify.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It
right.
says change accepted easily when the plans are
Unknown.
made. Plans, that's what I'm asking. Is it,
Unknown.
are you talking to the organization?
Well,
Because
it does affect the organization.
Well, you must understand the
let me
plan.
get to in this process. The organization changed, and I can give a better exposition of that too. The organization changes the structure, okay? So Manzaya is saying we want to get to a cathedral, right? That's what? That's the
Goal.
vision,
That's the
right?
goal.
How we attain the processes is to get to that goal.
Yeah.
Now, the planning process,
it's Camelot and all the other things.
those are all the variables that help to get to the goal.
Yes.
So to aid his question, and to also aid you, you can interface and interchange them amicably if you want to use it, because they are.
I think Sister Annie has a problem with that because she says she will not have a plan. And
You know what?
She will
She's
not
looking at
change.
it from a scientific point of
I
view.
think she-
But you're looking at it very scientific. But if you don't, I look at it this way, if you don't understand the plan, because the plan is also a process.
Yes.
If you don't understand the plan,
The
how are you
change
going
of
to
the
implement the
process.
plan to get to the goal?
This is
We
what-
must,
but-
we must understand the plan.
Now,
We're going to move forward. Though.
Let's
But you
move
know,
forward.
I mean, for me, the question is
It's just
straightforward.
semantics.
All right, it's
Yeah.
straightforward.
Now,
Let's-
In any
okay.
change, there has to be communication right
Yeah.
across the organization,
Exactly.
right? And for me, this is what exactly is saying. You know, for the changes to be accepted more easily when the plans are known throughout. So the plans have to be known. How do you get the plans known? You
Communicate the plans.
And once you communicate the plan, it gets known. And when it gets known, because you have to buy in the vision. When you buy in the vision, you must understand
but
where
that's
we are
it.
going now.
But that's it. That's your buying the vision to
Yes.
the goal.
Yes.
So I have to be able to know what your goal
Yes.
is, and then I buy into the vision by
And then we plan
accepting
to
the
get to
plan.
the, yeah.
That's
But-
it. That's
That's
what
what this
that's
is
what it's
saying.
saying.
That's what I agree
Got
with
to know the
you.
plan.
And what we're saying, we don't want to divert. I don't just want to find stimulation in this topic, but what I want us to get out of, because the planning process, it varies, okay? Great analysis. I like that. I keep that thought. And I also like this thought. But all of our thoughts is moving towards, you cannot affect the change until we have a plan. And you cannot go through the process, the mechanics, or the methods until we know the goal. The attainable goal is Christ.
That's right.
How we get there
From.
by hearing, by step. So you understand the difference? Okay.
So number 7, planning brings
I'm
attention.
gonna be back.
Number 7, planning. Sani? Number 7,
Yeah, it's good.
planning brings attention to dangers or pitfalls. If the planning is thorough, disadvantages as well as advantages will be uncovered. And I think Pastor Mana has explained that one because of Nehemiah too. That planning brings attention to dangers or pitfalls. When Nehemiah sat down and planned, he realized that the dangers are how to get to Jerusalem from Babylon. The district that he was going to pass through, he would meet opposition there. And these people are enemies of the Jews. So which means unless they get a letter from
cannot pass.
he will not pass. And he will not get to Jerusalem and start looking for material, timbers and all this. So he had to get all this material. So he has already he has already sat down, focused on what he was going to need. And then he got all these letters of authorities all the way. So then the disadvantages, like Pastor Mana said, there will be oppositions that will distract us. How do we get to it? So unless you have a thorough plan, by the time you are bombarded with these challenges, you just be found wanting. You see? So that is what it says. It says that planning it brings attention to dangers or pitfalls. And if the planning is thorough, disadvantages as well as advantages will be uncovered. I think we've already dealt with that one. And then number 8 is that decision making. Decision-making skills of the staff can be strengthened. Thorough proper planning. For instance, if several alternatives will be taken to solve a problem, a decision must be made as to which one will be carried out. As for thoughts and comments from the staff, decision-making skills of the staff can be strengthened through proper planning. Through proper planning, like has been explained, everybody contributes. We all sit down, we contribute, and then we now throw everything into a pool, and then emerge with what we think that is going to be workable for us. And to me, we get that one. Mm-hmm. So we can move on, and then motivating. Now, people at all levels must feel they are needed to motivate people. People at all levels must feel they are motivated, they are needed. You cannot motivate a person if they do not feel essential to the process. Do not give them the impression that they are dispensable or replaceable. Do not give them the impression that they are dispensable or replaceable. Now, on that question, on that note, will you say that when you sort of not threatening, but advising people that work hard, work very hard, because when new people come, you can easily be replaced if you don't work hard. Does that constitute making them feel dispensable? I don't think so, do it?
It's a word of encouragement. You're telling them,
so when
do what you need to do.
When actually do you make people feel that you make them feel dispensable? When do you think you make people feel that they are dispensable? If you don't do my work, I can sack you at any time.
Well, the way you communicate it.
The way you communicate.
You communicate it. If you tell someone that, you know, you should be here every time. I mean, you should be here. And okay, in a church setting, everyone is volunteering their time.
Yeah.
But you tell someone that they need to be here, otherwise, we'll get rid of you, and someone else will. The communication, instead of encouraging them and telling them why it's necessary for them to be here on time, because it impacts the service, it impacts the way guests feel when they come to, but if you tell them that, you communicate to them that way, that, then, we'll just get someone else to do it. Then at that point, they might feel that, well, I'm indispensable. I can be replaced.
Yeah, not an option. It's
Yes,
not an option. That is
so the
great.
communication, it's important.
So ways to make a person feel needed. One is to keep them informed. Number one is keep them informed, like you have explained. And then number two, challenge a person, thus allow them to grow. Challenge a person, thus allowing them to grow. What do you mean by that one? To challenge a person that is to give him a responsibility, right? So that because one thing is you never know the quality of anybody until you give them responsibility. And then when you give them responsibility, they want to prove themselves that they are worthy of that responsibility, so they perform. Then they feel motivated that you count them as somebody special. And then number three, make them feel proud of the job they are doing. Make them feel proud of the job they are doing. Compliment them, by encouraging them. And then praise the person. Number four, praise the person. Let them know they are doing a good job. Number five, learn what people want from their jobs. Individual or team recognition routine, task of constant challenges. Know someone's likes and dislikes in order to be able to motivate them. Learn what people want from their jobs. How do we explain that one? Learn what people want from their job. There are some people that they are doing the job that they don't really love at all. Yeah. But because there's no alternative and they want to live, they want to survive, so they are forced to do it. There's no passion in it. But when it comes to church, there are so many people with different kind of talents. And then if you find somebody that you feel that he is gifted with maybe to sing or something like that, encourage that person, and then so which means that a leader must be able to discern, must be able to know everybody's ability, to be able to put them where they think they can perform happily without being forced or coerced into doing it. And then recognition is more important to some people than salary. People want to be given credit for a job well done. I think we have so many examples of that. Recognition is more important. That is, when you compliment somebody, you give him credit for what he is doing, he will be encouraged to do more. He will not even wait for the church to spend money. He will spend his own money to just to make sure that this thing is going on, because you recognize what he is doing. And then make mention of special accomplishments of an employee or even their family, even if it's an accomplishment outside of work. Many CEOs are so distant from their employees, and their relationship with them is restricted to the office. But as a good manager, as a good CEO, as a good leader, sometimes you without getting emotionally involved, compliment them as your son, as the family. They'll be so happy that you care about them, not just about the services they are doing for you all the time. And then the number 8, communication is the key to motivating. Listening is an important factor. People like to know what is going on and what to expect. Communication, I think we have already explained that one. That is the key to motivating. So many leaders don't know how to communicate at all. You see, and it's very, very important. Then keep them informed. Have regular meetings. How can you keep people informed? By having regular meetings to exchange thoughts and take the opportunity to advise them of what is going on around the company, with customers and in the industry. Brother Osman, do you have that one in your place of work? Have regular meetings to exchange thoughts and then take opportunity to advise them on what is going on around in the company?
Oh yes, we do what we call, we have 5-minute meetings, which we do pretty much every day. And we have what we also call pulse meetings, which we take the pulse of lower staff members, how they feel. We do that once a week. So you get feedback from them, what's working and what is not working, how you can improve things.
And just to use medical terms, take the pulse.
Yeah, it's a pulse meeting. So we do that once a week. So, and through the pulse meeting, you get the pulse of members. And managers, you don't talk much during pulse meeting. You're actually there to listen, and you take notes. And if there's something needs to be clarified, you can clarify. But the goal of the pulse meeting is for your subordinates to express themselves, to come up with ideas, and it's really, really interesting to see how it works,
So let me ask a question, sir, pertaining to the church setting. And I know Pastor Mana does this
Pulse
way to make
meetings?
a person feel needed. But ask a question.
There's a suggestion here, Pastor
When
Mara.
do you exhaust this as a pastor? When do you keeping them informed, challenging them, praising them, even if the person doesn't want to be motivated? So when do you exhaust this as a pastor or as a leader in a church when I don't know.
That's the question I want to ask at Pastor Mana. How do you compare and contrast this with the leadership meeting?
Which question? I mean,
that's the one that My brother Ismail has just explained that is have regular meetings and exchange thoughts. How do we implement this, or what do we really gain from leaders meeting?
I mean, with the Manzion Fellowship Church, we have a leadership meeting where we meet twice. We'll be meeting twice a month. I mean, after this meeting today, we're going to meet again and have some discussions to know what is going on in different, the ministries. And the beauty about that is that everybody can then contribute, because when you look at no ministry is a standalone ministry, because they all feed into everyone. So when we sit here, we've got the media, the praise and worship, the children's ministry, the ushers, and everybody will say, well, look, and the pastoral team, they're going to say, well, look, for us to really operate effectively, the ushers, you need to be doing A, B, C, and D. And I say, well, yeah, but the media also has to be doing their bit. Okay, well, the children department also has, the young adult. So what we do is we sit down and we come up with ways of how to help each other, support each other, so we can have a, sort of a cohesive, way of doing things so that service will run smoothly. Does it always happen? No. Okay, so now you may have somebody who drops the ball all the time, which is where the frustration comes in. And then, you go back to that person and say, look, we've discussed this, but we're not seeing anything happening here. What is going on? Maybe there's something in the personal life and the people that's going on in their life they don't want to share with you, because that's one of the things that come to mind. You don't always see people in church, you see them absent, not because they don't want to come, not because of something, but they've got their own issues they're dealing with, but they don't want to share it with you. And so that's another issue as well. You don't know what's happening behind the scene. And sometimes all you can do is, all you do is pray for that person. However, the work has got to be done. We find a way to see whether we can. And I'll call you and say, look, I understand you're going through some challenges at the moment, or but what we want to do is A, B, and C. And that's how, going back to the media, that's how we got the children involved in the media, right? Because we had to find a solution, to get the kids to the media. And that's how we get, get Sister Khadija to help us in praise and worship, right? Yeah. So I'm going to talk to her this afternoon after meeting. Then I'm going to have a discussion so she can see help us in praise and worship.
Pastor, it's on tape.
It's on tape, is it?
Yeah.
So no, but that's the challenge.
Well, that's what I'm asking. So when do you exhaust this as a pastor? Say you're talking to me, and every time so when do you exhaust?
You know what? Remember earlier on I said I don't take it home. That's when I stopped taking it home.
Okay.
Yes, because when I call the person, I'll call you from home and I'll encourage you, I'll talk to you, we'll sit down, let's have a one-on-one. If I don't see anything happening, I cut off that communication, I'll try and look for somebody else. I'll call my elders and we'll sit down and say, look, this is what is going on. I need feedback from you. I'm always talking to Elder Ben, I'm always talking to Dr. Usman, Pawaka, Pastor James. I'm always brainstorming because I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
So I always call them and say, look, I need help. This is the situation. Can you come up with some suggestions? And then they would come up with ideas I didn't even think about. So then it's not just me. I'm getting feedback from other people who are helping me.
I also think it's a human nature. Okay, and there are times that we have to also learn the person, because the person will not be moving all the time. There will be a time that you will smile, or you will be with the people. But one of the things also is at times that can be one-on-one. It doesn't have to be in the church. Okay, go in and have, say, coffee with the person. Hey, can we go and have water in the 7-Eleven? Can we walk to the 7-Eleven and have a coffee, or can we so and so thing? I think at some point the person will be able to, you'll be able to talk to the person, or you'll be able to communicate to some degree. It wouldn't be a full 100%, but to some degree, and the person will be able to, share something smaller with you, and it can mean a whole lot. And back to what Dr. Usman was saying, in my job we have something we call we're in this together, and it's a mandatory thing. Everybody has to go, okay, to participate in this forum. Why are we in this together? Okay, we're in this together because everything that goes on from the top to the bottom, everybody has to know what is going on. Okay, be part of it. Okay, don't desert yourself from what is going on. So they bring this thing so people can communicate. We can communicate at all levels, even from the bottom to the top. Why is this thing not happening? So every department has to bring their people to attend this. We are in this together, so people can express their feelings, what is going on, what is not good, what is good, and that sort of thing. And the feedback that you get is amazing. It's so amazing, because there, the boss is not there to, write you up or do anything on that. So this is a free discussion. Feel free to come and express, your concern on whatever, And other people really enjoy it. They come with good ideas, and also they come, they criticize, they say all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, so we are all in this program together. We are all going to that place together. We are all falling down together. We are all standing up together. So with that thing, I mean, everybody have respect for what you are doing and what I'm doing, because after all, we are all in this together.
And the last one is show enthusiasm. As a leader, you must show enthusiasm about your work. And that will help to set a work ethic, thus motivating others. I've seen so many leaders that they think they are doing the team a favor, and so they are completely indifferent to what they think about. And it's been responsible for the collapse of many churches. So because one thing is like the members are looking upon you, they are looking at you as their role model. They are looking at you to motivate them, and that's why we come to the area of leading by example. So which means that before you can really make people to be passionate, to be zealous, to follow you, you too must be able to live by that leadership example. That is, you must be able to let them see a leadership example in you. And that is the only way. You have to show enthusiasm in what you are doing. And that's the only way you can motivate them. And then they set goals for those you supervise. You set goals for those you supervise. Help them achieve the goals by giving them the opportunity to get things done. Help them to achieve the goals by giving them the opportunity to get things done. And then do not set unrealistic goals. And also now, Pastor Bernard, do you have this kind of situation in the church where we set goals for people? Because I know you have it in your own industry, don't you? So that you have so many people. Because one thing is you have target dates. Because in my own, when I was in the construction industry, we have target dates before or when we get any contract or anything to be done, and then I had to go out of my way to help people under me, so as to be able to accomplish their task. So how does it relate to church? How do we set goals? Do we set goals in the church? And then if we set goals, how do we motivate them, to achieve it? Because one thing is, the pastor cannot be everywhere, and he has to entrust some responsibilities to people. But at the same time, how do you motivate them?
And how do you accomplish them also?
Yeah.
I mean, we do have goals in church. I mean, because a church, as most of us know here, it's an organization,
Yes.
and there are also outside compliances that we have to meet with the IRS, and I think the elders know that we spend a lot of time working together.
Yeah.
For example, at the end of this, there are goals and certain things we need to do before the end of April. Otherwise, Mount Zion will not be, in good standing. Fetchon will not be in good standing. Zion Holdings will not be in good standing. So there are certain goals the finance team has to meet, and we have to meet those goals. So those are goals we have to meet in order for the church to be in good standing. So, for example, myself, Dr. Usman, Elder Oben, Elder Seth, this time of the year, there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of communication. I spend time on there trying to make sure we get a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure we meet those goals. Within the church, yes, there are goals, because we the goals are not, like tangible goals, but there are some goals that are not tangible, but there are some expectations that are, if you're an usher, you need to be here before time. If you're a praise and worship person, you need to be here. They are not necessarily goals, but these are expectations that will help us to move forward where we want to go to. So for the media team, yes, we want to see the disc produced at the end of the sermon. Is that a goal for them to achieve? It is a goal. Praise and worship, we want at least 2 new songs, every month. Is that a goal for them? Yes. Are we getting there? We are in that process. So yes, there are goals that we're all working towards.
Thank you, sir. So now discipline. This is very interesting.
Can you repeat the
Yes, ma'am.
second point? Do not what? Do not
Oh, we're not there.
Do not set unrealistic goals. That is goals that they cannot accomplish. Do not set unrealistic goals. That discipline.
So, Pastor Lambo,
Yes.
would you say set short-term goals and long-range goals?
No, we have short-term planning and short-term planning and long-term planning. But goals, the goals are the ultimate. That is the end product. That is the where we are with the, that is our destination is the goal. So we don't have short-term goal at all, unless maybe we want to accomplish something for temporarily on temporary basis. But in churches, our ultimate is we have ultimate goals in churches. That is, we want to move to the cathedral, unless we want to move from here to go and rent another place. If you want to go to move from here, because maybe if you have been provoked by the landlord, or we find a place not suitable enough, then we say we cannot afford to move with the cathedral or our own place. Let us move to a temporary place. Then that is temporary goal. But when you have been in a place for 10 years, obviously you are not aiming for temporary goal anymore. You are just aiming for the ultimate, which is the last goal for it. Yeah.
But there could also be a short-term goal. I don't know, and I'm sure the church has it, but maybe they're not calling it like that. Because the short-term goal is to move out. That's a short-term goal because it's countable for 1, 2 hours.
No.
Within 1 and 2 years, that's a short-term goal. Because we're giving it a time, like 1 year, right? We said next year, that's a short-term goal. The long-term goal is for us to have a school and something inside of the building we have it, because that's within 5 years, that's within 10 years. So we're looking that after we have our cathedral, then we will develop a school or we develop anything else in there, which is like 5, 10 years. That's a long term goal. That's why I said the church might not think that's it, a long term, but that's a long term goal. The short term goal is 1 year, we're moving out. Is that a long term goal? We don't want that to be a long term goal because it's about past 5 years. But it's about short term goal is within 1 year. 1 year we move out. Long term goal, we're getting a school, we're getting whatever inside that cathedral, and we're working towards it.
Let me just, I see where everybody's coming from. Because, okay, let's say we want the cathedral, okay?
That's it,
Yeah, we want to have our own place, And but how, again, going back to what we're saying, how do we get there? So we have a short-term goal. That short-term goal is to raise funds by June 22nd, okay?
Yes.
To feed into that cathedral, okay? So let's say we raise, and the goal for what we want to raise this year is $25,000. That's a short-term goal. All right, that's what we want to do. We want to raise that, but it's to feed into our long-term goal, which is to get the. So I hear where everybody's coming from. We may not call it short-term goal, but that's all part of. And then once we get the cathedral, when we move in now, we say, okay, we've achieved. But then maybe we have other plans as well, part of our vision, which will take us back. So there's always a long-term goal. But yes, but for us now, maybe the dance, not maybe, but the dance we want to, because, going back to the dance, in fact, when we did, I think, some of us were here when we had our first dance, the goal was to raise money for our own building. I think we raised, $8,000 from that. That's the profit we made. So now this one, we're hoping to make a bigger profit, so that money is helped us with a long-term goal. I don't know whether that makes sense.
I think it makes sense, yeah. So I think that answers your question, Brother Ben. Yeah. So discipline, the art of dealing with people when they fail to do their job or they behave abnormally, is discipline. The better you know an individual, the better the job you can do if of disciplining him. With some people, you need to be firm or even demanding. Others, just a hint of a suggestion for change is all that is necessary. Do you understand that? Do you want me to explain that one? I think straight enough, isn't it? Here are a few strategies on improving one of the most distasteful acts of supervision. 1. Try to discuss the situation as soon as possible after the incident. That way, the situation is free on everybody's mind. Usually, time only makes matters appear worse. Try to discuss the situation as soon as possible after the incident. That's, as a leader, they bring reports to you, and if you think that the report they have brought to you, it's going to be like it's going to spread like a cancer, or disrupt the functions of the church. They said a stitch in time saves 9. So attend to it immediately, and don't leave it, because the moment 24 hours, 48 hours goes on it, it can be denied. And then your approach will be weak. Then number 2, talk to the individual, very important, in private first. Try not to let other people see or hear you. Talk to the individual in private first. And try not to let other people see or hear you. And that also goes to number 3, don't embarrass the person. I've seen so many leaders that they flare out once something is burning in their heart. Right in the presence of everybody, they chastise you straight away. And you can do it in we are like a Walmart where they are being paid, but in a voluntary organization, can you really do that? Because one thing is, because that man or she does not want to lose her job because of the salary or wages that he's getting, he will take it. But even though it's distasteful, but in an organization like a church, can you really just reproach people in presence of everybody else?
First, it's not a good thing to do anywhere.
It's not a good, even if we are.
Even in Walmart, that's
not a good thing to do anywhere.
That's what I think too.
That's what you shout at me.
Don't embarrass the person.
So not only to the supervisor.
That's right. And then number 4, try to be friendly. Number 4, try to be friendly. And listen to the person tell their side of the story first. Try to be friendly. There are some people, they have only one here, and the first to come to them to report is the one that they listen to. But as a leader, you must give everybody a chance. You have to believe, you have to take the warrant that nobody is guilty until he has been found guilty. So listen to them, what they have to say. And then number 5, weigh and decide the facts before you constructively discipline. Weigh and decide the facts before you constructively discipline. Now,
or even your opinion.
Weigh, yeah.
Or even your opinion.
Not your opinion.
Well, what I'm saying, you also weigh and decide the facts before you even form an opinion.
Yeah.
Not even the discipline, but also
Yeah.
an opinion. Because some people already form an opinion before even getting the facts.
That is true. That is very true.
Judgmental.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. And then number 6. Number 6, do not nag. Number 5, weigh and decide the facts before you constructively discipline. And then number 6, do not nag or harp on the subject over and over again. This will only cause irritation. Do not nag or harp on the subject over and over again. Men don't usually do this, but with respect to women, they do it all the time. You see? Because there are some pastors, women pastors especially, what you did and already been discussed 2 months ago, if anything like that similar happened, they bring it back again from the black book. And men don't have time for that one. So that do not nag or harp on the subject over and over again.
Or preach,
With due respect to the women.
or preach on the same
Or
thing.
preach-
The same over and over.
Because I just want to have the subject. So if the men are not doing it, who's doing it?
Nobody.
And then number 7, do not argue. Number 7, do not argue. Then number 8, control your emotions and try to control the other persons. Control your emotions and try to control the other person. Maybe you see, I can't say you shouldn't be partial, because sometimes we are partial, and we like Sister Kago said, we must never allow emotions to take precedence. So that we have to control our emotions. As a good leader, it must be balanced completely. So that don't be biased. And then number.
So before
Yes,
when you say try to control
your emotions.
or the person, what are you
Okay.
implying?
Yeah, what you have to do is and try to control the other persons. That is, there are some people they are so emotional that the way you approach solving a situation is what we actually. If you see that there are some leaders, they diffuse a kind of inflammable situation. And there are some leaders, instead of diffuse, they add to it. So that you have to be able to diffuse rather than add it, even though you are prejudiced, even though that person is guilty, even though you don't like that person, but at the same time don't aggravate it. By aggravating it, you sort of you get a response straight away from that person, negatively or positively. So that it's your own emotion that you control that's going to have an effect on that person. So you have to be very, very careful. So it's not easy to be a leader at all. And then number 9, try to have the person see the seriousness of the situation. Try to have the person see the seriousness of the situation and why they should change their attitude or performance. Try to have the person see the seriousness of the situation and why they should change their attitude or performance. I think we understand that one. Number 10, attempt to determine the reaction to your discipline. Attempt to determine the reaction to your discipline. Let me ask Pastor Anna to ask, have you ever had an occasion to discipline anybody before?
Yes.
And in those situations, some reacted positively and some rebelliously.
Yeah.
What was your own attitude? How do you determine their reaction to your discipline?
I mean, for for me to get to that stage with somebody, it means you really have crossed the boundary. You know, so really determine your attitude. It's how, because the whole idea of disciplining, trying to discipline somebody is not a punishment. It's trying to correct you so that you take a corrective measure. That's what discipline is all about. It's not about punishment. It's about trying to correct the person. So if you cannot be corrected, then what part of my determination is that you are not a repentant person, because you don't want to get back on course and change your action in order to do what needs to be done in the church for the church to move forward. So that's one of the things that I would determine about that person in terms of determination. You know, I with somebody like that, I would personally not engage them in my leadership.
That's right.
In the leadership role at all. That's somebody who's made a mistake. You know, we discipline that person, they accept the discipline, they apologize, they come back online, and I've got tremendous respect for people like that.
Right.
But if you don't, then it bothers me.
And as once a teacher, Elder Madonna, you come across students or pupils in your school that are rebellious, just rebellious, no matter what you do. How do you feel? How do you determine how you relate with those people, with different types of students? Those that are repentant, those that they are just plain rebellious. They are not delinquent, you know, but they just want to feel that they can get away with anything.
Sometimes you have to find out what is causing their behavior.
Okay.
And if you can get to the underlying cause of the behavior, you probably will be able to redirect them. Because sometimes the spirit of rebellion is not the person's character.
Okay.
They could be getting fed from somebody else. But if you actually sit down with that person and talk it over with the person, you can find out that it's not them, and you can work with that person. For somebody who is outright rebellious and doesn't want to be corrected, you can see it's becoming a part of their character. It's not just something they're doing. So you, as the teacher or the leader, you have to take the situation out from the person and see what you can do with that person to change, if you can change, if you can make a change, how you can help them develop.
I can make them develop. Should pastor give up on any person?
No.
Because this question came up on many occasions, that they accuse some pastors that the people, they left the church, they don't have any other church to go, but that pastor refused to go and reconcile with them. He said, my sheep know my voice, and I'm not going to run after anybody. But is that the best attitude? When does it come to a stage where a pastor gives up on somebody?
The end result should be for God. So if something like that happens, somebody, you've spoken to that person, I think you've called them separately, you've explained situation, maybe if it has to do with somebody else. Personally, I just think that if the pastor has spoken to this individual and the individual insists on going, there's a difference between the sheep and the goat. If the person needs to go, the person needs to go. I don't think you should start babying them, because that means the person has already made up their mind to go. If, on the other hand, the person comes back, that's a different case. Then the pastor should openly accept them. But what if you had taken the goat who wanted to leave and you tried to bring him in and disrupt this church all over again? I don't think the pastor should go after somebody. If the person wants to go, let them go. If the person comes back, that's when I have an issue that the pastor needs to open up and say, welcome. But I don't think you should.
You shouldn't run after anybody.
Huh?
Any pastor should not run after anybody in our work.
I think after explaining everything, because you would, before the person leaves, there was a situation.
Yeah.
So you need to find out what that situation is. Try to iron things out. Try to talk to the person. You know, use all the tactics we've already said. Listen, do everything. If the person insists, just you have to let them go.
Yeah.
And for me, I just think, you know.
If you are a pastor, you don't run after anybody that
Oh
wants.
no. Because number one, I'm not gonna lie to you.
What are your thoughts?
I would call you. I would call you.
Yeah.
I would try to make ends meet, make amends of what's going on. If you have a problem with another person, I could do the best I can to iron it out. I would pray over it, because every time I talk to somebody, I say, let's pray first. We pray over it. I see your point. We explain the situation. Why do you want to leave? You know, I need you here. We're all part of the sixth kingdom. And you insist on going, I cannot go with you. But when you come back, you have no church, but why would I be running after you if you're not going to come back? You know, I know I'm not going to give up on you, but I'm still going to be praying for you. There's so many people I would pray for. I would pray and pray and pray. But if you come back, then I'll accept you, but I won't run after you.
Look, I think I will buy your own idea.
Yeah, I agree with your point, Sister Annie. But just to add to that, you know, because there are times when you lose members, and even in the corporate world, you have we are members of Comcast or Verizon or whatever, and you call them, you say, I'm leaving you, I want to disconnect. They want to know why you're leaving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because it is important to their organization.
Yes.
Because if you don't know why people are leaving, then your organization is never gonna grow.
No, that's true.
You see, unless you take the time to follow up with those people who are leaving and find out why they are leaving, understand why they are leaving, so that if there are things that you have to fix, or if there are some amendments you have to make, you're not going to be able to catch those, because they're not just leaving, they're leaving for a reason.
Yes.
Okay? And if you don't understand the reason why they're leaving, you keep making that mistake, and, that problem keeps festering, and then you're in a situation where your business is never going to grow.
That's right.
You see, so it's just a revolving door. And so that's why, but when they come back, I think we should always be open to embrace them and work with them.
Yes.
Interesting, because we had this conversation last week, Saturday,
Okay.
because we meet once a month with Bishop Darlington Johnson and with other pastors.
Yeah.
And in fact, we had this discussion, because that was a topic that we discussed.
Okay.
And, the challenge, and I think for most of the pastors, as well, who were there, the challenge is especially when they are leaders, 90% of the time, you don't even know when they're going to leave. They spring it on you. Yeah, they just come to say, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And in one particular case, this person was also a pastor in the church who's been given a branch to run. It's one of the examples that was given. Not knowing that while he was running this pastor's church, he was also doing something on the side. All right? So when he came, and they've been in ministry for a long time, they were very good friends. So he came and he said, Pastor, I'm leaving. And the pastor said, why? What's happening? But he knew that the pastor was going through some marital challenges. And he says, look, why don't you talk to brother so and so they may help you? Because he thought maybe that was right, but he had no inclination. All right. But none, he's made up his mind already, because he started his own ministry. He just wanted to leave and go.
That's right.
So it was later that he found out that his man is already gone, because what he wanted to do was, he said to him, okay, well, give me at least 2 months. Let me find a pastor to replace you. Because what he wanted to do was, this pastor who wanted to go, he was going to be part of the ordination of this new pastor, to lay hands, they all bless him.
Yeah.
And then he makes an exit as he goes, and they pray for him as
That's
well and
right.
release him. But no, he had already left. He was just coming to resign. So it's not always as simple as that. And yeah, you talk about, pastors have, feelings as well, because it did create an upheaval, and it created a whole lot of problems there. So let's say this pastor is now sick, actually, he's in hospital, okay? So when I say now the ministry doesn't work, okay, because now he's been diagnosed with some kind of illness, he's lying in hospital.
The one that left.
The one that left,
Wow.
yeah. Now let's say he comes back, okay, and I know this pastor will take him. I know that, because they've come a long way, But sometimes you don't know. People have left here, and I'll call them, and they say, Pastor, it's got nothing to do with you. Yeah, but what's the reason? No, I won't talk. I don't want to get into that, And that's what I don't say other people, Because they may talk to other members, but they won't talk to me. And I will say, okay, I'll call you once or twice, you don't want to talk, I just leave it. Because I'm not going to get anything out of you, nobody. So for the pastors, a large percentage of the time, you don't even know why people leave, even when you do call them. They don't respond to you. And it's a good thing they let you know why, at least you're able to deal with the situation. But people just leave. You text them, they'll send you back a nice text, if you're lucky. If they don't. But you see, one of the things I want to say is this. You see, everybody has their own, the pastor.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not the church, it's the pastor. People will come to church because they just like the ambience.
Yes, right.
They like the company, they like what is going on in that church, they like praise and worship, but I'm not their pastor. And I know that. I am not everybody's pastor. Because every pastor goes to that illusion that everybody's your pastor. You are deceiving yourself.
That's right.
If you're in a church of 100 and 15% of the people like you, you're a winner in that church. And you've got to understand the numbers in this game. So, and that's one. So not everybody who comes to church, if you assume as a pastor, that person is your pastor, you're making a big mistake.
That's right.
And then when they leave, you're going to be so disappointed and so shocked that, oh, why are they going? Because I'm the pastor. No. They are in church, not you as their pastor. That's one of the realities of all of this, okay? But when you come to that place and you understand that, and then you just trust God for what you're doing, it takes away the pain. It does take away the pain. So when people leave, then there's a way, just like we were saying, Padam, but when you get to that place where nobody can offend you anymore, that's what he said. I think I've got to that place in Mount Zion where it'll be difficult for somebody to offend me, and that's will be easier for me when somebody goes for me to reach out to them. Because I'm not offended, it's not personal anymore. I'm not just your pastor. Your pastor may be someone, you found your pastor. As long as you're in the kingdom of God, that's fine. But the work has to continue. I'll continue to serve because I have to work my own salvation. You see? But that's the so the answer is always not so easy. And I know we all, spiritually, that's what we should do. But emotionally, will you do that? That's the challenge. Emotionally, because if you are hurt, you're really hurting because somebody let you down, they left you. It has to take the grace of God to be able to, and you have to understand, you have to know you yourself as the pastor. If you don't know who you are and whose you are, you'll always be hurt by people. So it's not that you don't care. You just come to that place when you realize as a pastor, it's not everybody who is your pastor. Who you are pastor to. They're in your job, but you're not pastor. They won't call you, they won't say, that is my pastor.
No.
If you don't understand that, that's why most people get hurt.
That's true. So we have 2 more to go because already 6 o'clock. So number 9 is see if the individual feels they are being treated fairly. See if the individual feels they are being treated fairly. And then number 7, try to get a commitment from them to do better in the future. Try to get a commitment from them to do better in the future. Whereas, man, have you ever come across a situation where you discipline somebody, they say they are sorry, but then you say, okay, can you give me a commitment that this is you got to improve?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, that's fine. And how did they make them feel?
How does that make them feel?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, when you discipline someone, generally, no one likes to be disciplined. But when you turn around and make them feel as if you're doing it because you want them to improve, or they're doing something that is not right, you want them to adjust their way of their behavior or the way they treat patients or customers or whatever, or there are people that they work with, and you ask them to meet certain goals or expectations, and they understand why you're doing that, they feel like you are working with them, you are helping them, not actually punishing them.
Okay.
You see. But just a quick addition to what Pastor Mana was saying, just explaining shortly. Because sometimes it is hard for people to explain to you when they feel like, you are the one that they hurt. And, I explained to you a few interactions I have with people who, for example, Mount Zion, as we are here, interactions I had with people who I called who have left Mount Zion. You understand? People who left in different circumstances. I believe Pastor James was there sitting with me when I made those calls. Just listening to some of them, and I asked them why did they, some of them did explain why they left. But they probably would not explain to Pastor Mana because they felt like, they probably hurt his feelings. So, yes. But they might explain to Elder Ben or maybe Pastor James or, someone else, you see. So I think in that context, maybe we need to look at how we approach those kids. Maybe it's better for me to call them rather than Pastor Mana calling them. Okay. Probably, Elder Ben or probably Auntie Annie calling or, Sister Ann calling them or Sister, Susie or Sister Elizabeth. I think that's, in every situation, we can tweak the situation to meet what we're trying to accomplish.
So in other words, it's better, it's very advisable to have something like a situation where we have welfare officer in the churches or a public relation, that the job is not for the pastor to communicate with them, but for the public relation officer or somebody or a mediator in the church to reach out to them, because that one is neutral, so that they can easily open up to that person. And if there's any way that reconciliation can be brought in, then they'll be able to resolve it. But if the pastor is the one they have something against, obviously they will not tell you, say it's because of you I'm going. And if it's somebody that pastor also loves, they will not be able to say, because they say it's got to be my ass already. So no. But if you now call an independent somebody who is like a reconciliator, and that person will not be able to say, okay, talk to them one-on-one, and then whatever. If there's an area of reconciliation, then you'll be able to do that. So I think that will conclude.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
But I don't believe that the pastor should not call. Whether they left for the sake of the pastor, whether he was the cause, whether there's a mediator, I think it's acceptable for. I think the pastor should make. It shows that he cares. Especially when it's not a problem inside of the church, it's somebody leaving the church.
Because of the pastor.
Well, I'm not just saying, he should go to the point where they said, I cannot say anything. And then the next step comes, because then you have to always bear in mind the pastor is also human. So if he's hurt somebody and I cannot tell him you're the cause of it. But when the second group comes, because that's when the pastor says this one could take over, then they'll be able to open up maybe after 1 month, allow the person to cool down a bit. But I don't think that you should say that if there's something the pastor should not call at all. It makes me not think I'm not important in the church.
Yeah, we're not saying, I'm not saying that the pastor shouldn't call.
Yes.
But sometimes, even when the pastor calls, the pastor might not want to say anything.
Which is good, but the pastor has to call.
Oh, yeah.
He has to take that initiative to say.
And I'm sure most of the people that I spoke to, most of them Pastor Man has already spoken to.
Which is good, because he would never know that he was the cause.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's in somebody's heart. You might be smiling and they say, well, look at that, he smiled too much. So no. So he's going to call, maybe take the initiative, and then after that, then if it doesn't work, then, you have the leaders who will call and say, well, I'm reaching out to you, well, it's me. I'm your brother. But at the same time, I think the pastor has to. Yeah, that's what I think.
Can I ask a question then? I know I shown discipline, which I like. So should church discipline, again, Should Pastor Barnett, should church discipline for all of us be a mandate? Church discipline, should it be mandatory? Because I'm reading you saying it's one of the most difficult areas in the church, and we should approach it from a more conciliatory, amicable, blah, blah, blah. But should a church discipline of the open be mandatory in the church? Whereas if a brother that, you know, the rules of the church are not attuned to, abide to, he or she can, is it a mandatory thing in the church?
Yeah, we saw because of order.
Okay, nice. Okay.
So there must be order in the church.
Okay.
If there's no order in the church, then there's no sin.
Because you see, survey shows that most people leave organizations, be it Christian organizations, churches, only because they do not aspire to Christian discipline or church discipline. And one will say, and you go back to James, you go back to Titus, you go back to Timothy, those were the two areas Paul talked about in James. So when it comes to church discipline, Pastor Lambo, many times we shy away from it because we say, oh, you know what, well, Pastor Mana can't do this, Pastor this can't do this, you know, I won't subdue to that kind of discipline. But the church, the Bible says, the elder in the church, the pastor in the church, the people in the church must go through that process. Then he or she cannot then be restored. And most survey shows people will leave church because, oh, the pastor preached this, or pastor do this, or some brother do, oh, you know what, yeah, I don't like how you do things. Well, this is how we do things in this church. This is how it's going to be done. So you either come to accept it as a norm of the church discipline, or the God of order you talk about, to execute the work of God. That's my position on that. That's what I have.
Even Apostle Paul emphasized on discipline in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think as we already read in the Ephesians, the Corinthian churches, you know, so we should correct them. So that if you don't correct them, then they will not know that they will lead other people astray.
Amen.
You know, so that if you correct them at that immediate point, it's the way you correct, and we got to go to that. It's the way you correct people, you know, so that you can be on the right course, but your approach is wrong.
But I always got a problem with that, Elder. I always got a problem with that.
Definitely, there must be discipline in the church.
Yeah, I always got a problem sometimes.
So it's mandatory. It is mandatory.
Personality, but you're just doing your work. Look, like for example, some things in Donald Trump I like, some things I don't like. Something Obama I like, some things I don't like. Something in Pastor Mana I like, I don't like. All of us have those disadvantages.
Yeah.
But if Pastor Mana were to tell me, say, oh, okay, your wife can tell you it's not going to happen, but if your pastor come and tell you it's not going to happen, then it's a problem. But your boss can tell you you have to, but you come into church and the church put that guidelines and say you must do it, then it's a problem. That's what I got. Then if the pastor said, look, my man, you got to do this. If you don't, then you're not singing on Sunday, or you're not preaching on Sunday, or you're not doing nothing, because Paul said we should correct both in doctrine and as well as the application of the text, or the doctrine when he talked to the churches in Corinth, Ephesus, especially with Titus and Timothy. But most of us got a problem with church discipline. And that's where I personally got a problem.
That is why this leadership course is so important, especially for the leaders that we want to produce. So that when they are grounded in the word, it will be easy for them to deal with the congregation. So,
and I think also, Pastor Lambo, when we talk about discipline in church, we equate it to punishment, all right, and you resist. And again, until you understand what discipline is, you know, because there's a difference between discipline and punishment. But so most people is one and the same. And until you who are going to carry the discipline also understand what the disciplinary action is and how you're going to go about doing it, it also helps a great deal. Because it's all about correcting somebody. It's all about getting somebody back on the right track. Because I'm doing it for your own good. You know, punishment is something you have done and you're being reproached for. Discipline is correcting you for the future. So if people can understand that and have that clarity that I'm helping you for the future, you know, then it makes it a lot more easy. And it makes even, going back to the word approach, a little bit easier, because I know where I'm coming from. I know what your weaknesses are. I know what my goal is, what I want to achieve, and I know how I'm going to home in you, in my own way, James Mana's own way, to get you to do what I want you to do. So again, I need to be able to understand what the other person, the witness, what is going on, why, and that's going to take, through our discussion, through that disciplinary process, to be able to understand, give guidance, direct you, and say, look, this is why we're doing this, so that we can all achieve, going back to what we're saying, the goal and the whole process.
Thank you so much.
And can I just, I know I didn't even pay any tuition for the class, but I'll pay during the course. But I think too, in an organization, once you have guidelines, you have things that are in place, and then of course we all work. And so you sign a contract with the company that you work with. The company tells you, this is the guidelines of our company, and then you must adhere to those guidelines. And I like what Pastor Amanda said, because I don't think any companies want to hire folks and just fire them the next day. So when you discipline a person, is more as of improving or trying to help that person, to become a better person. So the company tells the person to give them an opportunity. A lot of time is a verbal warning, or the supervisor or the manager of that company will meet with that person and said, this is X, Y, and Z. Try to correct this. And then if he or she continues to do that, the next step is a written. You get a written warning. So now the person realized now that there's a possibility that I'm going to lose my job. So you've been given a verbal warning, you've been given a written warning, and then then the next time if you do that, there's a possibility you're going to be suspended, or even at least up to termination. So I think if there are guidelines in place and the leadership of the organization, for instance of Mount Zion, and people who are coming on board or people who are already here, you let them know that these are the guidelines, and this is what I expect of you, to adhere to the guidelines. One of the things that saddens me about Christendom, we don't follow guidelines, and because of that, you do have a lot of confusion in the church. So when we begin to do that, I believe we'll all come along.
So does it matter with the executor, though? Who does execute the guidelines? Because I think we were discussing last week, we came to whether, okay, you know what, I would prefer to go under Pastor Minor disciplinary measures than Pastor Lambo. Or you know what, I think I would like to deal with Elder Obed better than Elder Cargo. So does it matter who does the execution in the whole process? Or standard procedure.
So it's not my personal opinion.
It's a guideline.
Personal opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, everybody's got their own way of interpreting and doing things. Everybody's different, and that's not critique in itself. People are different. My approach to doing things, the same thing, is different from your approach to doing the same thing. Again, it comes to personality. So you can't, I can't criticize somebody because of but as long as it's the guidelines, then that's when you go outside the guidelines, that's what the problem is. But the guideline is the guideline. So, because some managers, as you were saying, my dear sister, some managers have got long patience. Some managers don't. And some managers are very brash. Some are not brash. I worked with my previous manager, her attitude was not very good, but people adapted to her. I know the managers, they leave and say, I want to work with that manager, but that doesn't mean they don't discipline them. They discipline them. They follow the guidelines, but it's just their way of navigating them through that process is different.
Thank you. So next Saturday, we're going to start with this very interesting topic, handling personality problems, a very tricky situation. We are in the church, we have so many types of characters, and some of them, they just feel they are being haunted, no matter what you do, no matter how much you just everybody is against them. Even though they know they are doing something wrong, and you correct them, they feel you are against them. So how do you handle people that are very touchy, and there are people that are so emotional, and how do you really deal with people that have emotional problems? You get yourself involved emotionally with them, or what do you do? So we start and be here early on Saturday. so that we can cover a lot of ground, because we are expecting more people today, but unfortunately we are still thanking God for the people that are here. So is there any other question before we round up now?
So this class is a leadership class?
The leadership class is from 4 to 6, and then the leaders meeting today after we close.
I'm talking about the class itself.
The class itself is for 4 to 6.
No. What she's asking, this is part of my Zion ministerial Bible Institute.
I understand that, but you talked about people in the church to discipline. So in order for you to discipline someone, you have to be leaders on asking the teaching. The class itself is a leadership class.
Yeah, right now, this part of this course is in Christian leadership.
It's a foundational, so it's open to all. Yes, a foundational class. And then from there now, we move to different years. But just as well say, let everybody come to the basic.
I was just trying to capitalize on this last statement, because to be a leader, then we ourselves need to be trained properly. Because there are certain criteria and how a leader can approach, even being a supervisor, being a manager on the job, but certainly you can approach your employees.
Yeah, we're going to deal with that one fully next Saturday.
That's what I'm asking.
If, will you be able to be here on next Saturday? Because it's going to be very interesting.
Very mandatory as a leader in my life. It's
Yeah.
mandatory for all my Zion leaders.
It is indeed.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That's a good place to
So we look
amen.
forward to seeing you.
You know I'm hungry, so you can talk like that.
I'm going to say hungry, man. I've been eating all day. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Okay, thank you.
Amen.
Sister Susie, are you with us? She has traveled to Cameroon. Oh my God.
I help her to understand it, but she getting it.
Oh, okay, I was speaking French next time. Okay.
Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Can we close?
Oh, okay.
Sister Elizabeth, will you give us a closing prayer of benediction? Yeah,
Turn the camera to her.
And it's going to be on YouTube.
Let us stand.
Father, we just thank you. We thank you for coming here again to learn your word. Because if we love you, we won't understand you, and we won't understand your teaching. We thank you for Pastor Landmark. Continue to give him wisdom so he can impact it on us. We thank you, Papa. We pray that this class will be able to use it as leaders and also as just ordinary Christians, so we can walk better with you and serve you more diligently. Papa, we give you all the glory. May your glory take place always in our lives. We thank you, we glorify you. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen.
Together we say the grace.
The grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit, rest, remain, and abide with us all, now and forevermore. Amen. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Papa. Thank you.
I got that. She's doing it.
What?
She's doing it dancing right now. Like she was really, excited about it.